Thank you for doing this. All right, so let's do this because we're going to cover a lot, but we're going to start maybe in a place where you probably don't want to, but we're going to have to go back to Las Vegas to our most recent. I know, Lisa's rolling her eyes. It's difficult, right? And just with that eye roll, the question becomes so easy, it's going to roll off my tongue. How heartbreaking was it to watch Super Bowl 58 and your kids are a field goal?
All right,
overtime
interview over.
I
I'm
know.
out of here.
I know, it's crushing. I hate to start with this. But seriously, Lisa, only because I'm following your eye roll, how heartbreaking was it to watch that game?
Very. It was, I don't even know what else to say.
It still is.
It still stings.
Yeah.
It still hurts.
It has to.
It was heartbreaking. That is I literally I'm speechless other than that. It was just so sad.
What was that day like for all of you, just leading up to the actual, let's go, like the first kickoff? Like, how were the nerves for you, Peggy?
Oh, they're always bad. Yeah, you just can't wait. You know, you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, we got to do this. And so you just kind of push through it, and your nerves all day. You're just crazy.
Who's the calmest of the four of you watching a game?
No,
Gotta
you're
be
a
me.
fake calm.
Gotta
You're
be
a
me.
fake calm.
Your
sure.
fake,
Mike
fake
is.
home, like his face turns
Oh,
red
he's
and
about
he
to
just.
explode, but he
Right.
doesn't say a word. And
Mike.
Mike's probably the same.
He is.
I think I'm pretty calm because I'm always watching the game or trying to study the game.
He really.
Yeah.
You've kind of ridden the lows and you've been at the peaks and the valleys and all of that. But that game, Super Bowl 58, how much did you and Kyle kind of work together, or did he reach out to you for feedback, advice, game planning? How involved are you in that process?
I'm not really very involved, but I get a chance to watch their game plan going in both on offense and defense. So I thought they had a great plan, and they had their opportunities to win it on numerous times, and obviously they didn't get it done, so it was tough.
But how did you all come together? How did you rally after that game, after kind of a few days? What did you do to build these boys back up? Take a trip to Cabo? Anyone?
They did.
Yeah.
There you go.
They did with the boys, which was very cathartic and wonderful. At one point I heard Christian and a lot of his teammates were in somebody's place with, I think it was Peyton Manning, Michael Jordan, and all these guys that have played at the highest levels, and they said, we lost several championships before we won a championship. And they reviewed the times they were at their lowest lows, and that helped. These are the best in their sport, and it helped these guys kind of work through it and feel a little bit better about getting so close and falling a little bit short. But yeah, they all were pretty wounded after. I'm not gonna lie to you. So thank God, thank you for taking them to Cabo, showing them a good time.
I'll speak on behalf of Kyle too, and all that's great. And I think it does help to be around, in that case, other athletes and other professions that have had incredible success. We've also had incredible losses, so it helps ease the pain. But the thing that really, I think, allows you to survive those types of things is knowing that you did everything you could. I watch the way Kyle prepares for games, similar to the way Mike prepared for games. They leave no stone unturned. And I'd say the same for Christian in terms of everything that he does to prepare for the game on and off the field. We live it, we breathe it, and you put everything you have into it. And sometimes you come up a little bit short. And the only way you survive that is knowing you did everything you could going into the game and coming out of the game. And you don't always win.
I want to just dive back into Cabo a little bit because that trip just sounds amazing. And that story about Jordan being there and Manning and just being able to kind of lift them up in a way. Peggy, what was kind of the highlight for you? You and Mike hosting these boys down there after such a traumatic loss. Like, what do you remember about that trip?
They all want to get away too. And Cabo's easy and it's pretty close. But so what they do when we all are down there, they'll come over for golf, of course, which ends up starting at like 10 a.m. in the morning and it goes to like 2 a.m. in the morning. Not Mike and I. Not Mike and I. But
You made it till 1 though, didn't you?
I think one time we did.
Cocktails are involved, by the way.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
just shocked. Really?
Hard to believe.
Very
no.
minimal though, I'm sure.
But it's so great for them because they get to relax for the first time after a Super Bowl loss.
Is it more nerve-wracking to be a coach in the Super Bowl or to be a dad watching your son coach the Super Bowl?
I think it's much tougher being a dad. just watching it, because when your mind's going all the time when you're part of the the operation, and you don't have time to get nervous because you feel like you're prepared. And if you're prepared, you go in there with a lot of confidence, and I think that's what they did. The thing that was really devastating to them, they knew they were going to win. And when you don't win, that's when it's really disappointing, when you feel like you got everything going for you and one or two plays here and there, the difference in the game, but it's over. Now you got a chance to go do it again.
Yeah. What about for you? Is it harder to be a player in the Super Bowl or to be dad watching your son play in the Super Bowl?
It's definitely harder to be a dad, I think, because we have no control. We're just there watching. We love them. We're going to be there for them, whether they win or lose. But you don't have any kind of control. At least when you're a player, or I imagine as a coach, you're calling plays. You have some ability to determine the outcome of the game. And as a player, I always felt pretty confident that I would live up to my end of the bargain, or at least control what I was doing. But as a parent, you're just in the stands watching, hoping for the best.
I'm done with Super Bowl 58.
Oh, good.
Yay.
Everyone take a exhale.
Oh.
We're good. We're going to rewind the tape back to '94 when you were playing in San Francisco and you were the OC. You guys won a Super Bowl there. That was the only year that you played there, right?
Correct.
Okay. And Kyle was, how old was he at the time? 15-ish?
7th grade.
He was
7th grade? 14, 15, somewhere right
No,
around
that's
there?
not right. That's
in
when we
'94.
went.
He's a
Yeah.
freshman.
Yeah, he was a freshman. Sorry.
And what was his role on the team?
He's a ball
Ball
boy.
boy?
Yeah.
But he just was really was he next to you all the time?
He
like
carried
a
the
sponge?
headset. At that time, he had headsets, so he
Right.
carried him. Made sure that if you walked away and you're talking to the player, you give him the headsets, and he give them back to you. So
Okay. But was he a sponge, like just soaking in all he could from you?
no, not back then. He just enjoyed being around the guys, having a chance to get to know them, watch them at practice, go to dinner with them.
My memory of Kyle in 1994 was just this happy kid. He had a smile ear to ear. Steve Young would make him run routes after practice until he was about to puke. He'd have Dion, have him try to get off the line, or he'd run routes with Jerry, trying to learn from him, and he would just smile ear to ear until he dropped. I remember him. I think there was a couple times he fell asleep, like in the equipment shed between practices. It's like 122 degrees in Rockland, but he was like a kid in a candy shop, just so happy, and you could see how he was listening and watching and paying attention to everything. And I remember that. I'm not usually that observant, as Lisa may affirm, but I did just notice this kid, and I didn't even know he was Kyle Shanahan. I didn't know he was Mike's son or Peggy's son because I just got there. I don't even know them yet. I'm just trying to make the team. So anyway, but I think it speaks volumes that I actually remember one of the ball boys that was running around without even knowing that I was Mike's son. I just remember how much fun he was having, and they were making it hard on him. Like Steve Young, I think one time might have had him run 50 routes after practice, and he was gassed. But
That sounds like Steve.
he was having so much fun, and so I remember that about him. And then over the years, obviously we got to know him better, but it was still a player-coach relationship. We weren't hanging out, and I didn't know Kyle that well other than what I saw him do at practice, or what he did during games.
So when did you actually find out that he idolized you in such a kind of a very obsessive way?
That was like a few years ago.
No.
Yeah, like I had no
It
idea.
could have been when he chose 87.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking there's other good receivers.
Maybe Dwight Clark or something.
Yeah, that wore 87. I didn't even know he picked 87. I didn't know that was because of me. I was honored and thrilled, by the way, because I remember as he was, when he was a kid, how much he loved football, and how hard he was going in those practices, running routes afterwards, and how happy he was to be around NFL teams. So when I did hear that, and obviously I have the utmost respect for Mike as a coach and a father and a husband, by the way, it was a big honor for me. But yeah, I didn't find out till long after my playing days.
We always say like football is family, right? And we know that. But when did these two families really come together off the field? Did you come together? Did you guys take trips together? I'm picturing you, spending holidays together and
No, not really.
We
No.
don't get holidays with football.
Yeah.
No, you
really
don't.
don't.
You
It's
don't.
like 4th of July is our
Sometimes
biggest
you
holiday.
play
spending
on a
Tuesdays
holiday.
together.
No, but we in the off season
Yeah.
we've taken some great trips together. It's
Yeah.
been really fun. So
What kind of coach is Mike?
He's a Hall of Fame coach, and it's just, it's going to happen. I can't wait till I'm there watching him put on his gold jacket, because
I have my dress picked out.
The clock is ticking. The clock's ticking on that. And he's so humble. But let's face it. Look at his accomplishments. Look at his coaching tree. Look at all the things he's done. But I got to sit in the meeting rooms and watch him watch the film. He doesn't just talk to the quarterback or to the offense. He talks to the offense, the defense, the special teams. He's coaching the coaches. He's as good as you get in this profession. And I'm excited for that day. I'm going to celebrate. That'll be a fun day.
Who's a better coach, you or Kyle?
Kyle.
What do you think?
I can't say that.
You can.
The other one will really be upset with me that loses.
Okay.
And it might be the one I
I can
live
say
with
something
all the
about
time.
that.
Okay.
Listening to Ed talk
Even
about
her
Mike.
pretending is pretty cool.
Not, yeah. You want to stay married?
Yeah.
Listening
They
to
both were.
Ed talk about Mike reminds me of the way Christian talks about Kyle. He's got like a reverence for him. So, you know, and I'm like, I look at Kyle as a kid and I'm like, oh, he's a kid. And Christian's like, Mom, that's my coach. You cannot, you know, you can't go there with him. And I'm like, Christian, he's like a kid. Calm down. And he's like, no, that's my head coach. And he's like, he talks about him like he's
That's
on the
hilarious.
moon. It's pretty cool. And he said, I've never had a head coach that knows every single position on the field and knows what every single person should be doing at all times. And it's really impressive. Like he could go into any meeting and coach each position perfectly.
To your point, he's just extremely detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yes.
why? So you said that Kyle's a better coach than you were. Why?
Well, I think like when we were in Washington, you know, he would say to me, he said, who are you going to hire as assistant coaches? I said, I'm going to ask you, because you see him behind closed doors. I've been a head coach for a long time. He said, give me some of the guys that you say that they cannot live without football. Those are the guys I want to hire. And so he brings, you know, you got the Matt LaFleur's, the Sean McVays, you just keep on going right down the line. And I'm just going, let's go through each guy. Let's talk about Sean. Let's talk about Matt. Let's talk about, you know, let's go through, you know, their strengths and weaknesses. Can they live without football? He said, no, they can't. I said, let's hire them.
That's a great story, though, about Kyle, that he was the one that said, yeah, let's get LaFleur, let's get McVay. You know, I mean, like.
One thing when you're young, you know people that really enjoy what they're doing. And I mean, you got to put a lot of hours in. So if you got guys that you know that these guys can't live without football, they're gonna learn. You got to teach them, but they're gonna learn because they want to learn. I mean, those guys would be there every morning at 5:30 working out. I mean, 5:30 to 6:30, we get an hour workout in every day. All these guys are young, and they were going to be there. They were going to, you know, make sure they got their workout and to stay in shape. Besides leaving at midnight or whenever they left. So fun to watch.
You all know, like, you two know, these are the real MVPs.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like, yes. But that is, I mean, how did you do it? How did you do it, Lisa?
Well, she lost Christian at a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Well,
Remember
I mean,
that?
That was
you
pretty
didn't
much
do it
the
well.
norm. I didn't do it well, but hey, they survived. They're all okay right now, kind of. A little therapy wouldn't hurt.
If you don't have a great wife as a head football coach, you have no chance.
I've
Or
said
your kids
that,
aren't
yeah.
being raised the right way, because there's no way you can do it
Right.
with the hours you put in. Now,
It's
you
so
always want to be a positive influence, and you try to put in the time when you can. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a very strong wife, you won't last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Peggy supported Mike, and Lisa maybe learned some from Peggy and watching how she dealt with Mike being gone and just the time commitment. I know Lisa always supported me, and you don't know for sure. You get married, you have kids, but this is a lifestyle, unless you live it or have lived it or been around someone that's living it, you don't really know until you get into it. But I was so blessed and so thankful that she did get it and was willing to make those sacrifices and just loved being a mom also.
What was the dynamic like between Christian and Kyle? Because the age difference between them is what?
It's a good
Big.
amount. Yeah, it's big. I
Yeah.
think Kyle was in high
Kyle's
school.
45, Christian's
28.
28.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
But
mean,
did Christian?
he knew of Kyle and was
Right.
like, you know, kind of like even when he was little, he's like, oh, that's, you know, Mike Shanahan's son and this, and then it's like, then he's a head coach.
Christian was Christian was 2, right, running around at the Super Bowl. Kyle
Yeah.
was the ball boy with the headset on. So that's the age difference.
Yeah.
One of the things that was really interesting when Christian got traded to San Francisco, we were so happy. Like, we were incredibly happy because we knew that he was going to play for Kyle. We knew what a great coach Kyle was. We were so excited about that. I played for the 49ers. So many of our friends, we went to Stanford. It was like a reunion. And so it was like a family for us. It's like a reunion. But Christian reminded me that, like, I don't know Kyle. You know, I was 2, right, when he was graduating high school. And so I've heard all the wonderful things, and I've watched all the games you've played, and obviously I have a ton of respect for Mike Shanahan, but I don't really know Kyle as a person. And so one of the first things they did was meet about it. Christian walked up to his office and he shook his hand and said, you know, nice to meet you. I know of you. I know our families are really close, but we don't know each other. I want to share with you what I'm all about, why I love this game, how I approach the game. And Kyle did the same with him. I thought that was such a mature thing for them to do, to realize that despite all the talk about our families and our history, they're meeting each other for the first time, man to man. And I think they got off to a really good start. And after that meeting, and ever since, Christian's respect for Kyle has grown and grown and grown. But it was cool for them to actually meet as adults and get to know each other as people. And they still have a coach-player relationship, but I think they understood each other way better after the first week or 2 that he was there.
I guess you just don't really think about that because the age difference really is so huge between Kyle and Christian. That's an awesome story. That's a great story. Like, that's a wonderful anecdote. You got any more of those? Lisa, anyone?
But
Anyone?
you know what? I think Lisa and I really helped in that, and we deserve a lot more credit than really Kyle and
You
John.
predicted it, right,
We
Peggy?
facilitated this whole
Well,
Right.
let's talk about
At least we
the
just
20
talked with each other. We didn't really talk to anyone else.
Okay,
Right,
tell
yeah.
me. Let's
We
go to that.
manifested it.
I
to
want
use
to. I
a
want to
buzz
I want
term.
all the because I listen to the podcast and I know but I want you guys to take me there. And in that trade in 2022 that sent him to the Bay Area, tell me, did you orchestrate it, Peggy?
No, not really.
It was literally by
But
chance.
we were so excited about it, so we just kept talking about it. And when I talked to Kyle or something, I go, what are you going to do? I'm not sure yet, Mom. Like, he knew I wanted to say something, but I wouldn't. I'd just call Lisa then and go, I can't get anything out of him. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I don't think Christian really had any idea for sure either way. So
He didn't even know he was officially going to be traded till
Yeah.
11 o'clock on Thursday night. I mean, there was rumors buzzing around he's going to be traded. And honestly, I didn't think he'd be traded for some reason. I don't know why. And then all of a sudden, 11 o'clock at night, Christian called, and I was going to bed, and I looked at my phone, I answered, and he just said Niners. And I threw the phone, we were freaking out, screaming, and Ed had, he had a pair of shorts on, and he took the shorts off, and underneath those shorts were a pair of 49er shorts. He was secretly trying to make that happen too, so it was pretty
well,
funny.
you
I'm
did.
like, "What are
See,
you
it was
doing?"
part your help.
I was
No,
trying.
Peggy-
That's the extent of my involvement. But everyone thinks there's this inside track. There's no inside track.
No.
Football is a serious
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, you don't.
No
you
one
didn't-
tells
didn't
anyone
literally-
anything. You're not going to know about a trade. I mean, everyone guesses and predicts what might happen. That's fun
Yeah.
to do. Every once in a while you're lucky and you get it right. But nobody has any inside track. You know, because obviously if you're going to
Yeah.
trade for someone and there's other teams involved, you don't want them knowing your position or whether you're going to do it or not. So we were ecstatic about it. But you know, football is family. It really is, and we're really close. But I think there's a misperception that people do each other favors. There's no favors in this business either. They traded for Christian because he could help them win, and he's so glad he's there because there's so many other incredibly talented veteran players on the team and a great coach to help them win. So it was a great situation for him. But things are done to win football games. You know, Mike and I had a ton of success together, and it speaks volumes that we're such good friends now, even after Mike did ask me to take a pay cut at one point in my career. Had he known,
I don't remember that.
had he known
I do.
how my
We'd have a nicer car out there if Mike didn't ask me to.
but I tell you what, had he known how bad my body felt at the time, he'd asked me to take a bigger pay cut. but you know, it's a business. It has nothing to do with how much you care about somebody or how much you like them. It has to do with, you know, a coach is responsible for the team's winning games, and they have to make really tough decisions. And it's not an easy job for a coach to have to decide to part ways with a player, or ask them to take a pay cut. But these things happen. It has nothing to do with how much respect you have for a person. It has to do with their judgment of you and your ability in terms of you helping the team, which comes first, to win games. So the deal with Christian is much is made about how much respect we have for each other and what great friends we are. That was a business decision. just like there'll
And
be
you guys
busy
didn't know until the
decisions down the
11th
road.
hour.
Didn't know
Literally,
at
I
all.
literally thought it was a different team, and I was on the phone with Christian that day, just justifying the other team, like it's going to be a great situation there. You'll make it great. You'll make the team better. I know it, and like, pumping that team up, and this and that. And then I literally thought it was a different team until 11 o'clock Thursday night.
And he's so happy there.
Yeah.
And again, a lot of it's the teammates. It's the guys you're going to work with every day. He has so much respect for those guys, and they had established veterans. I could name the whole team. I don't even want to name one because I'll leave somebody out. But he's such good friends with them, has so much respect for them. He had left a team in Carolina that had veterans when he got there, but then was going through a real rebuilding phase with different coaches and different coordinators every single year, it seemed like. And then he went to a team that was established with a great coach who's been there for a while and with really talented players who approached the game the way he did. Different personalities, but the thing they had in common was they all take the game of football seriously, and they played for each other, they played unselfishly, and they did whatever they had to do to help the team win. And that's something we had in Denver when we were winning Super Bowls. Tons of talent, but guys willing to play for each other and make sacrifices for the team.
Knowing the way that the kind of coach that Mike is, the Hall of Fame coach that Mike is, and the way and how much Kyle learned from Mike. Obviously, there are similarities in the way that they coach, right? So as you're secretly hoping that he's going to go to San Francisco wearing your 49er shorts underneath your other shorts, did you just know that he was going to fit so well into that offensive system there?
I did. I don't know if he did for sure, but I did. And he found out pretty quickly about what kind of coach Kyle is and what kind of teammates he had when he got there. And so I totally knew it. I knew that Kyle is creative enough to understand how to use them in that offense. And I also know it really helps when you have other talented players on your team. Having a great tight end and some great receivers and great offensive line and a great quarterback. All these things help every player on the team. Every player on the team is better when there's other talented players. And so I knew it. I also knew the type of coach Kyle was, the type of coach Bobby Turner was. Bobby Turner's been coaching 50 years. He was there coaching Christian.
The same way.
And and
The same
exactly.
coach.
So, and so I just felt really, really good about it. I mean, you never know anything for sure. There's no guarantees in life, only opportunities. But I knew he had an incredible opportunity to fit in and help a really good team hopefully become even better. And I knew I had studied these players. I was a broadcaster for a while, and I did a lot of research on the guys on the team. And everything I'd heard about them was all positive in terms of their work ethic, their talent, and their approach to the game. And Kyle is, again, one of those coaches that speaks to the whole team, which is what Christian found out pretty quickly. He's not just a play caller. He's a head coach who talks to the offense, talks to the defense, makes sure he coaches all the coaches and speaks with them and communicates with them throughout the offseason so that everyone is moving the same way. And I knew how much Kyle loved the game. And Christian needs to be around those types of people that love the game as much as he does, and he found that in his head coach.
I just finished watching Receiver, and it's like devastating to just we're not going back to Super Bowl LVIII, but it really is amazing. I mean, it's such a good locker room. And Kyle's such a good coach, and it's like they will come back from this. What does Christian say about Kyle?
He says he's an unbelievable coach, and what impresses him the most is what impresses him the most is how he will speak to the whole team. And every week he'll talk to he talks to the whole team every day, but every week he'll actually go through the film, whether it's the game film or it's the run game, and he'll talk about every single person's responsibility on the whole team. And as a player, when you have a coach that understands what you're doing on every play and can see the whole field and both sides of the ball at the same time, you gain an incredible amount of respect. Sometimes there's an offensive play caller or a defensive play caller, and even at the NFL, sometimes they might not know everyone's assignment on both sides of the ball, but Kyle does. And so I think everybody kind of sits up a little straighter in those meeting rooms because he knows he sees them. And that makes you feel valued too. And the other thing he absolutely respects about Kyle is his brutal honesty. And Christian wants that. And I think most players do. They don't want to guess what you're thinking, whether it's good or bad. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me how you feel. Tell me what you want me to do so that when I do it, I know that that's what you wanted, right? Don't keep me guessing. And Kyle's brutally honest with Christian and with every player on that team, and I think it's one of the things they respect about him. It's not always what you want to hear, but he hears you, he listens to you, and then he'll respond with an honest answer. And I think players respect coaches like that.
For sure, for sure. There are so many, as we all know, there's so many highs and lows in the game of football, in the business of football. What do you think, Lisa, has been so far in Christian's career, his greatest high and his greatest low?
The low, obviously, is losing the Super Bowl, for sure. Greatest high, I mean, there's been several. Probably the trade, when he got traded. I think that was, once he got there and got settled, he's like, oh yeah, this is football. This is what I was meant to do. This is the system I felt it feels like he was meant for. So just that, the last 2 seasons have been just amazing. He's just loved every minute of it, except the Super Bowl loss.
Yeah. Peggy, what about you? What do you think? All these decades of being a coach's wife, and now your son's in it. What's been for your family kind of the greatest high and maybe a really tough low?
So many. I mean, we've been really fortunate. And we've been to a lot of Super Bowls, but we lost, the first 3 or 4 when we were at Denver, with
In the
Dan
80s, yeah.
Reeves. I always thought there's no way Kyle will be a head coach. We can't do that. But he loves it. He's good. It's fun. All of our grandkids just tell him about the giant. Our youngest son, our daughter's son, he spent a sleepover last weekend with one of his good friends from school. He's only 3rd grade.
The Mars.
The Maras for the
Giants.
Giants.
Yeah. Owners, yeah.
And so this was, I guess, one of their daughters, probably. But we have seen him when we go to, different games and stuff. They're on the same team. And so he's having a sleepover, and she comes in and she goes, oh, here's a blanket in case you get cold. And Jed is his name, and he looks at it and he goes, I don't want that blanket. And she goes,
Giants.
well, why? I am not going to use the Giants blanket. Like, dead serious. And, she's laughing. But, yeah, it goes through everybody. And then, you think about all their college friends and our families all over the country. And it's just like a caravan that seems to always... And you're either happy or you're not.
Right, exactly. You're winning, you're happy. But your other grandkids are now ball boys, which is so cool.
Oh, right.
Christian's
Well,
told us
Carter,
stories about,
Kyle's son,
which is so
is a
neat.
ball boy,
Kyle's
and now
son,
our other William, he's gotten to be a ball boy for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So fun.
He got to fly on the team plane to Tennessee. Oh my gosh, so excited.
That's
I mean,
pretty cool.
full circle, right?
Yeah.
Like it all
Yeah.
kind of comes back around. I asked you this, I'm going to ask you this. Who is, positions are different obviously, but who do you think the better player is, you or Christian?
Oh, Christian's definitely way better than I was.
Really?
I was a late bloomer. And I'll get an assist. I think he learned a lot being around the guys that I played with. And he's such a student of the game. He's like a sponge. He learns everything. He was so much more inquisitive than I was, which he probably gets from his mom. Asks a lot of questions, always looking for ways to get better. And like Kyle loves coaching, Christian loves playing. He's loved it since he was a little kid. So everything he does is in an attempt to become a better football player. So, but he's definitely accomplished a whole lot more than I did, and hopefully will continue to do so.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm proud of him.
Can you answer the question? I know Peggy didn't want to answer the question.
This is an
I know.
easy question to answer, though.
Lisa's mom told me that she is the most talented athlete
Oh gosh.
of everybody.
Doesn't
Of
everyone's mom
everybody.
think they are like, I have
course.
become a better athlete with every touchdown Christian's made. Like, literally, it's like, wow, you were an Olympian. No, I was not an Olympian. I played soccer in
Where
college.
did you get the speed from?
Oh,
Your dad? No,
Probably,
'cause your
yeah.
dad.
Your time was wrong on me that you had coming out of college. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot.
So who
is the better player? Your
think
husband or your son?
Christian's a way better running back than Ed, and Ed. Yeah,
That's
Christian's
Well,
a
you know
great
what?
receiver too, though.
That's the nicest thing she's ever said. 'Cause
They're different.
Christian's a better
That's very
player,
good,
but
Lisa.
for her to
Yeah.
break it down like that, thank you. You're the best.
They are. They're
I owe
different.
you.
yeah, they
But-
are. They have different body type, everything. So it's pretty funny.
All right, we're going to bring this to a close. Unless you guys want to stay for a couple more hours, I'm happy to. What is the coolest thing about this full circle Shanahan and McCaffrey connection? Who wants to go first?
I'll, you wanna
ahead.
go? I'll just say, like, it's been a blessing to get to know them better since 2003. So I retired in 2004, and after that, watching Kyle and Crystal grow up, Mike continued to coach for a while. He served as a mentor to me. For a while I was broadcasting Broncos games, and I would go to him, ask him questions, and he taught me so much more about the game, about all the other positions in the game, the responsibilities of being a head coach or a position coach. I learned so much more about the entire game from him after I retired, but also getting to know him just more as a man, like as a husband and a father. He has so much love for his family, and makes so many sacrifices for them. And is so kind to all the former players and coaches that he coached. It was really cool for me to get to see that side of him. Plus, they're funny, they have a good sense of humor. We have a lot in common. We have, our shared experiences from coaching and playing this game, and from all the different people that we've met throughout our lives, and have a lot of really cool things to talk about. But yeah, they're just really good people. And to go from a player-coach relationship to what I believe is a real friendship has been pretty cool.
Lisa, what do you think?
Oh, gosh. Peggy, I always say, is my oldest friend, not biological,
Isn't
but
that
chronological.
awesome? Isn't that awesome?
Chronological.
She says this to everybody.
No, I've literally known for 30 years. I've known you for 30 years, which is insane. So
Since 94.
Anyway, yeah, it's a very long time. And I've as a player's wife, I always idolized her, and I thought, wow, she's got it going on. If I could be like her one day, I'd be pretty cool. And just watching how she manages her family and her kids, it literally was inspirational. And I always thought she has to be a very strong person, and for her to run the family and the household so that Mike can go do what he does and he could focus on that, knowing that everything in the house was okay, was set, because he had an incredible wife behind the scenes that was taking care of everything. So it was poetry in motion from afar. Yeah, I'm sure there was issues in between, but they just did it so beautifully and so gracefully. And I just appreciate your friendship, because you are like I literally idolize you. So I don't know if you ever know that, even though I make fun of you guys a lot.
Peggy, follow that
I
up.
can't, my gosh. I think it's just so fun. I mean, I've loved watching Kyle at the 49ers, everywhere he's been. But this is so special because we have all been together for so long. They played at San Francisco. My coach there it's like it's all repeating almost, and it's the weirdest thing. I don't know anyone else that that's happened to, probably is, but so it's just so fun to watch. It's not fun, losing the Super Bowl, but still, we're there to comfort each other too. So it's good.
Mike, what do you think?
Well, I think when you're coaching, first of all, you get to know your coaches very well, and you develop relationships that are pretty special. Same thing with players. I could go back. I can go through Florida. I can go through Oklahoma, Northern Arizona, Minnesota, East Illinois. I could go through the pro teams, go through, and you've got close friends on every one of those teams because you spent at least a couple of years together. And you're spending those, 14, 16, 18-hour days together. You get to know people really good. And that's one thing I love about coaching is they're your best friends, for life. And I just remember just going back and, we got the McGriffs back in Florida,
Yeah.
1980 through 83. And we start talking to the 4 or 5 quarterbacks that we had when we were there. And it was like we were just there yesterday. And you started looking and you said, oh my God, that's over 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And so those are the type of things that I think people forget on how close you get with people. And if you're lucky enough, after you coach somebody, you get a chance to spend time with them. Then you get to know them even better.
Yeah.
And
Then it expands.
then you even, it grows very quickly too.
Very
The
fun.
only thing that we need for this to be a real full circle Shanahan and McCaffrey connection is a Super Bowl win.
A Super Bowl.
No, there's no question about it. And at the
gonna
end of the
happen.
day, you can't be afraid to talk about it because that's what you do every day. You're getting ready for it. All your sacrifices is for one result, and it's getting it done. And if you don't believe you're going to get it done, you won't get it done. So, and everybody's part of the, the solution.